Hey, listen, I got a question. Do you believe in super wolves? I don't know. I kind of do. About to find out right now. You know Joe Rogan stay with that crazy shit. It's a lady talking about it though. I ain't watched it yet, so we're finna dive into it together. Let's get into it though real quick.
In my book, I've got a chapter called Slaying the Super Wolf. And so people call these wolves super wolves because they say that they're not native, they're Canadian super wolves and they weigh 170 pounds and it goes
Canadian super wolves, 170 pounds. That's a big wolf, bro.
and on and on. But I documented a wolf that I caught in the Glacier Park area, Wolf 8551, and we just had VHF collars. We didn't have satellite collars in those days. And she hung around for a while and then she just disappeared. And 7 months later, the British Columbia Environmental Ministry game warden called me. Says, we got one of your wolves killed.
She out here catching wolves and shit.
Do you want the collar? Yes, please. Where is it? Pouce Coupe. I said, oh, where is that? Well, it turns out that is 540 miles north of Glacier Park in
Wow.
7 months. So we didn't know if the farmer shot it in July. If they hadn't shot it, we would never have known what happened to her. But if she would have gone south instead of north, she'd have been about 100 miles south of Yellowstone Park. So clearly, they have the ability to disperse that far. The other interesting thing about that wolf is when she went north,
That's far.
they got the reintroduced wolves from two areas, from Hinton in Alberta and Fort St. John's in British Columbia. And she dispersed past the Hinton population and ended up almost at where the Fort St. John's wolves were. So this little wolf, 80-pound wolf, showed us that it's one continuous population from Yellowstone almost to the Yukon.
Wow.
It's connected because it's a walkabout for a wolf. It's not a big deal. We just didn't back then. We didn't have the tools to document kind of those long dispersals. But I just read this week that a wolf that showed up in Colorado that was shot this year, they just did the DNA on it apparently pretty recently, and it was from the Midwest. Think about that, to Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Midwest, like Wisconsin? Like
Yeah,
where-
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. It just said the Great Lakes region. It didn't identify because they're all kind of the same, but it was not.
Damn.
It was not a West.
Wolves be traveling then. That's crazy as hell. I mean, I know they be traveling, but that's a far ass distance. No cap. Look it up on the map. You'll see how far it is.
Wolf. It was not from Wyoming or Montana. Really interesting.
Is there any speculation as to why she went so far north? So she was originally from a northern population.
The wolf that I'm talking about,
Yes.
504. Yeah, she was born in Glacier Park. We caught her first as a pup, so we know where she was born. We know the den. And then at about a year and a half of age, almost two, she dispersed that far. And she didn't have to go that far. I mean, if she wanted to find other wolves and start a pack or join a pack, she could have gone any direction 50 or 100 miles and found other wolves. You know what? If you tell me why wolves do what they do, and I'll buy a lottery ticket. I mean, I don't know how these things work. I just don't know.
So is that common
crazy.
that they would travel that far?
It's becoming more and more common. So now that we have satellite collars, we've been using those for years, we can track them without having to stay in touch physically with them. In the old days, we just had VHF collars and you had to physically be there within range, like from an airplane, or track them. But now that we got satellite collars, I mean, my gosh, we got wolves going from Washington to Montana, and one of the wolves from one.
I want to see what a wolf den look like. I ain't gonna cap. Wolves low key raw as hell. I ain't gonna lie. Come on.
Wyoming went all the way down to Arizona to just north of the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
With the satellite collar was tracked, and then it turned around and started home, and it got shot in Utah.
So when they're doing this and you track them, how long do those collars' batteries last?
Well, sadly, for the VHF collars, the wolves generally die before the collars do, because wolves don't live very long. And an average VHF collar lasts about 4 years. An average satellite collar, 1 to 2 years. And I don't understand why the technology is not better to prolong some kind of a new battery, because once you put all the trauma of going through the wolf with a helicopter and catching it or whatever, you'd think they could get some kind of a super battery that would last a long time.
Probably too heavy.
No,
Heavy,
for
yeah,
real.
and they're, wolves are on average 100 pounds, and the batteries are pretty big, but I'm waiting for Elon Musk to develop a super radio collar battery.
Well, they're pretty close
No,
to
he
developing
gonna do
some
it.
pretty spectacular battery technology.
I just was reading about that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to implement it in automobiles. They're going to be able to do it.
Right.
I believe Samsung is at the forefront of that.
Ah,
Yeah, because obviously they make batteries for their phones and
Right.
electronics and things along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
isn't it a hydrogen battery or something crazy?
I do not know.
I was just reading it, so I don't remember. But
Yeah. So they're wearing this heavy collar, and they're good for about 2 years. And a wolf in the wild lives how long on average?
I always, when I do have a talk, I ask the audience, how long do you think the average wolf lives? So if you guess from the time they're visible from the,
I'm guessing. I thought wolves lived a pretty long time. I ain't gonna lie. Like a while. At least 10. I'm guessing 10.
emergence, like you start to see them at 4 weeks, and a few die before that, until they die. Do you want to take a guess at
I would be cheating because I listened to the
You
Ranella
list-
podcast.
okay.
I think it was 4.3
4.3 years? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Randall got that. I think it was.
I was shocked. I thought they
Yeah.
would live older because, an elk,
Right.
like a bull elk, like if you
Yeah.
shoot a mature one, they're 7, 8 years old. Sometimes,
Yeah.
I shot one that was 11.
You did. I bet the
Yeah.
antlers were getting smaller by that time.
Yes. Yeah. They were, and the teeth were worn down to
Oh,
almost
yeah.
nothing.
They're not evolved to live that long.
Right.
They just aren't. They usually die sooner because they burn up so much energy in years of mating and breeding that they get worn down, and then they die. But
Yeah.
the wolves, in a zoo or a captive situation, they can live to be
Damn, that's crazy. This should be interesting as hell, low key. And ain't gonna lie.
15.
Right,
But-
like a dog.
Yeah, but that's extraordinary. I think the longest I had a wild wolf, that I knew her age because I caught her as a pup, and I recaptured her, and we tagged her. 12 years. That's extremely long for an old wolf.
Wow, 12 years in the wild.
Yeah, there's a few in Yellowstone that I got that old. We had one of mine that dispersed to Idaho, and he, kind of interesting, I caught him in 1990, and he dispersed about a year later on his own, went to Idaho in the middle of the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness. There were no other wolves at that time, and he just hung around. We'd see him once in a while
By
from
himself.
an airplane. By himself. He was a big male. When I got him, he was 111 pounds. But this animal had to survive by killing animals alone. You think about
That's crazy.
trying to pull down an elk with your teeth?
Is it
Yeah.
because the old males
That
don't
would be
get...
crazy though, hunting with your with your mouth type shit. You really ain't got too much of it. That is crazy though.
accepted into a new pack?
He went to where there weren't any
Real
wolves,
vicious
interestingly,
shit.
but he had a success story because he just waited it out. And when they reintroduced those wolves into Idaho in 95 and 96, a little black female wolf pops out of her crate and just hits the road as fast as she can go. And she bumps into this wolf, and they set up a territory in Kelly Creek, and they became a breeding, mating pair for years and years till he died of old age.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was just kind of chilling on his own
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah.
How many years?
4.
Wow.
And that would
4
be
years without seeing any other wolves.
without having help to kill for your food item either. That's what amazes me. Because he could have gone to Montana and found other wolves, but he didn't.
Was there any understanding of what he was basically... Because, they usually hunt in packs.
Yes.
So it's probably very difficult for him to take down anything larger than a fawn or a deer. So what was he eating?
I would guess he was killing
Damn, that's a good question for real. By yourself too, hunting by yourself. I'm thinking wolf terms.
deer fawn, some deer. And if you got lucky, if you had a really deep snow winter, it's the advantage of the wolves because they got big snowshoe feet, and elk, punch through. They got little
Yeah.
sharp hooves. But he did well. Whatever he did, we
That's
don't know.
wrong.
We didn't follow him that long. We didn't pick up scats. It's just speculation. But they can kill a big elk, but they risk being killed every time they have to take a meal like that.
Right. They risk being dismembered, too. Like
Yeah.
broken legs and broken
yeah.
jaws and getting kicked.
Yeah, I saw a video of a
That shit
wolf
crazy.
from Yellowstone last year. It had been kicked in the jaw by an elk, and it had a broken jaw that was hanging. And a month later, month and a half, it was healed enough, and it was in the process of killing another elk, and wolves came along and killed the wolf. other wolves.
Wow.
Wasn't his own pack, obviously, but he survived that. That's
Wow.
They're tough.
His
Man, them things vicious. I ain't even gonna lie. What the hell? What's going crazy?
jaw healed up, and he got enough food while his jaw was healing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I imagine he was scavenging around, picking
Yeah.
up on kills and whatever.
How is he even chewing?
I don't know.
Because it's not like he's got a fork. Like
Could you eat with your jaw hanging? Let me know. Could you eat with your jaw hanging?
or a knife where you can cut
Right.
up the pieces. He's
Yeah.
got to bite pieces off with a broken jaw.
It's mind-boggling to me. People think, oh, wolves can just kill it. Well, they can do whatever they want. They have a hard life.
Yeah.
They live in packs because they're not very efficient killers. Mountain lions, bears, they're a more efficient predator, especially a mountain lion.
Yeah.
And they got all the claws to hang on. But a wolf can only go with its teeth. And so it generally takes numerous wolves to successfully hunt an animal, especially something big like a moose or bison.
What a friend said to me, so I wanted to run this by you to find out if this is true. He said that mountain lions are killing more elk because of wolves. Because what happens is the mountain lion will kill the elk, but then the wolf will scare the mountain lion off and steal it from him. And so the mountain lion then goes and finds a mule deer, finds another deer. And so the mountain lions are killing more animals because in the areas where mountain lions and wolves cohabitate, the wolves are really good at chasing mountain lions off of kills.
They done figured out how to get a free meal without doing the kill. They done finesse the game. The wolves done finesse the game, man. They smart. Work smarter, not harder.
That does happen, and I saw it some in Glacier Park too. But to that end, I'll say there are 3 times more mountain lions than there are wolves in northwestern Montana.
Really?
3 times, 2.5 to 3. It's been documented. So
Wow.
if you think about that,
I would have never imagined that.
yeah. And mountain lions are on average a little bit bigger than wolves. I don't know if you've ever hunted them or not, but my God, they're really.
I've never hunted a mountain lion, but I saw one. I saw one in Utah a couple years back, and it was a big one, like a 170-pound one.
Oh my gosh!
It was enormous.
Did they tree it with hounds?
No, we were driving, and we were about 25, 30 yards from it, and my friend stopped the truck, and he said, "Look at the size of that cat." It was under a tree, and it was just as dusk was happening, so you could see his eyes glowing.
Oh.
And so I'm in the front seat of the car, looking at him through 10x binos, and just getting a good look at his face. It was incredible.
They're beautiful animals, and I always think when I'm out in the woods,
why he always got the best stories in the world, man. He always get the best guests. I ain't gonna lie, man. I need to start doing some Joe Rogan type interviews, man. That'd be fire. Podcasts and shit. Scientists and shit, man. I like shit like that. Crazy shit. That's a good. I gotta tap in with some more. Make sure I go tap in Joe Rogan, man. You stay with the heat. Another reaction video, man. Moon on map.